Okay, welcome to Outlaw Woodworking. Today we're going to demonstrate knurling. And the way we're going to demonstrate it, we're going to create some thumb screws and nuts. And I'll show you how we're going to do it. We're going to go up here to Create Sketch. We're going to start from the side view. We're going to go ahead and draw out our nut. Or actually we'll draw out the thumb screw. Now we're going to do a pretty decent size one this time. We're going to do like a 2 by 1, so we'll go 1, and then we'll go up a half an inch. Actually, we'll go up 1, then we'll go from there, we'll go in 0.25 for the offset. We'll go up 0.25, and then we'll come over. So we'll come over half an inch, 0.50. Hit enter. And then the length of our screw, let's just go up 1.5. 1.5, enter. And it's going to, basically we're going to have a half-inch diameter thumb screw. And there you go. Now you can see we got a jumbled up bunch of dimensions here. We'll move them out a little bit. Some of them are overlapping. Move those out. Move that one out. This one can, oops. No, this one needs to go down there. This one needs to go up there. So this one's stubborn right here, that one. Okay, so we got all our dimensions out of there. Now what we want to do is we want to revolve this. Now, what I should do is move all the dimensions over to this other side so I can actually, because when we revolve it, they'll all get covered up. Okay, highlight this. We're going to go up here and we're going to revolve. We've already got the profile selected. All we have to do is choose this, and there it is. Now, we're going to choose New Component and hit OK. And we're going to rename that component Thumb Screw. Thumb Screw. And enter. So there's our first component. And that's looking good. Okay, the next thing we need to do, we're going to leave our sketches on, and we're going to shut off our thumb screw. So you can see, if we put it to the right, you can see we have our thumb screw, but now we're going to create a new component. And we're going to, from this same plane, we're going to design the nut. And the way this nut's going to be shaped, we're going to start from here. We're going to go up 0.25. We're going to come out 0.25. Oops. Let's delete that. Repeat. No. Repeat line. Going to come out 0.25, and we're going to go up 1. So these are pretty big, decent size nuts. And then we're going to come all the way across to there. We'll come down. And close it out. Okay. Now if we'll pull these out, these dimensions. Okay. Now if we were to highlight that, that's our nut right there. So we're going to go up to Solid, Revolve, create a new component. We've already got the profile selected, and we're going to select the axis right there. That's our nut. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. So now if we were to turn on, well, we'll rename this first. Rename it Thumb Nut. That seems like a funny name, but we'll go ahead and do that. Okay. So then if we turn on our thumb screw, we see we have both components there. Now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to turn off the thumb nut, or the nut, and we're going to finish this piece. So we're going to highlight, first we're going to put a chamfer on the top of this. And the reason I like to put, now because this is a pretty big size, this is a 1/2 inch thread, I'm going to put a 1/4 inch chamfer on that. Actually, that might be too big. Let's edit that. Let's try 0.125. That looks a little better. Okay. Now we're going to highlight, we're going to turn off the chamfer. We're going to highlight this thing and we're going to create a thread. Go ahead and create the thread. Now over here we need to select, when you have these threads, you need to select modeled. And we'll go ahead and remember the size because we're going to do another thread for the nut, and we'll hit OK. And then if you turn the chamfer back on, you got a really nice entry. That's a good entry point into your nut. Okay, we're going to suppress that just for a second, and we're going to do a couple things here. We're going to do some fillets, and we're going to do 1/8 inch, 0.125, enter. We're going to do, repeat that, same thing, 0.125, 0.125, enter. Now up here, we're not going to do anything on this flat part because that's the flat part that clamps down on the fixture. The one thing that's missing is our knurls. And that's basically, that's one of the hard, people have a hard time with the knurls, but it's really easy, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And start from the bottom. Oh, maybe that's a problem. We started from the wrong spot there. And we're going to go 2 inches. There we go. That's looking much better. Okay, now we're going to we'll raise it up just a little bit, just to get it past the coil a little bit. Now, revolutions 1, that's usually what I like. Diameter 2 inches, that's right. Revolution and height, that's right. We're on the plane right now. Height, height should be 1 inch. Let's see what that does. Yeah, we're going to leave that at 1 inch. Angle, good. Revolutions 1, on center. Now, you have selections. Sometimes it's circular, sometimes it's square. But we want that triangular internal because it creates a really nice selection. Now I'm going to change this 1/2 inch to 0.125 and see what happens. That's a thicker cut than I usually do, but this is a bigger knob, so let's hit OK. Now I'm going to look at that. You can see that thing goes all the way around. Now I really don't want it to go all the way around that much. So we're going to edit feature, and revolutions, let's put in 1/2 of a revolution and see what happens and hit OK. Now I believe this will be better. Okay, so you see it's going around half the thing. That's what we want. Next stop is to go up here to create, go to mirror, and we're going to select features. Okay, once you got the mirroring done, you can check it and see you've got these 2 slices across here. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to go up to create. We want to go to pattern, circular pattern. Now what we want to do is we want to try to select the features again. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. That time it looked like it worked, and that time it looked like it worked, but it chose too much stuff. So Let's try that again. That one looked like it worked. And that one looked like it worked. Now sometimes it gets cut through on these fillets down here, but we'll hope that that doesn't happen. Now we're going to go ahead and select the axis, and that looks good. It defaults to three positions, but we want to put a lot more. So we're going to go up to, you can see the tools right here. So right now we're 8. Let's go to 12. Let's see what happens. That actually looks really good. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I genuinely like that. Okay. So that was, now remember what we did. We did 12 on that, because what we want to do is we want to try to mimic the same thing on the nut. But that's looking good. Okay. All right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to turn off the thumb screw, turn on the nut, and we're going to, now we need to do a couple things to this nut. First thing we need to do is, let's go ahead and we need to put a screw inside that. So we're going to be from this plane right here, we're going to draw a circle right here, and I believe we're 1/2 inch, so 0.50, and hit enter. Now I don't know, that might be coming from the bottom. No, it's coming from way up here. That's okay though. So if we highlight that and we go to solid, extrude, we're going to just pull that down right through it and cut it. Okay, so now we got a hole in there. We're going to highlight that, create a thread, and this should all be the same because we chose to remember it in the last one. We'll hit OK. Okay. All right. So we got a thread going all the way through now. Looking good. Now we want to do a couple things. We want to do a fillet, just like we did before. So we're going to hit fillet. We're going to select that one, hold the shift key down, select that one, and hit 0.125, enter. And there's our fillet. Now what we need to do is we need to do that same knurling on this. And let's see if we can turn that sketch thing off. There we go. Okay. Now we want to create the coil just like we did before, but we need to do it. So in this case, we're going to lower this down a little bit. We're going to go up here to construct offset plane, create another offset plane, but it's going to be from this one down here. That way I can just pull it straight up, and we'll just put it like up there, right there. Okay. So now we know where it's at. We'll do that again. Coil from this offset plane right there. And we'll go ahead and look for the center of that, which is right there. 2 inches. And there's our coil. And that's kind of what we're looking for, actually. Doesn't look like it, but it will be in a second. Okay. So we got the diameter revolutions plane. Now we want to do revolution 1. We want to do, now you know what we're going to do? We're going to go back to this coil right here. Actually, see, can we do that? Yeah, cancel that. We're going to go back to this coil. Or no, I'm sorry, this coil right here. We're going to edit feature. Now we're going to look at that because we want to copy this on this top one. So the diameter is 2 inches. So we're going to write all this down to make sure that we do the exact same thing. we're going to write down diameter 2, which we pretty obvious, we know that, but we'll write it down. 0.5 was the actual revolutions. 1 inch was the height, 0 on the degrees, triangular internal on center, and then 0.125 for our cut, and that's it. Okay, now we'll go ahead and go back. So we'll go back to where we were. We're going to turn off the thumb screw. We're going to repeat the coil, but this time we have the original measurements. So we're going to go up here to here. We're going to start at that center, 2 inches. Now we're going to go ahead and look at these. So plane, revolution, diameter, 2 inches, that's right. Revolutions, 0.5. So we've got a lot less revolutions. Height is 1. And 0 degrees. Now this is getting triangular, on center. And then size of cut is 0.125. And the only problem with this, before I cut this, I want this piece to be up there higher. And this piece to be, actually I'm going to cancel this. I think the plane that we did on the last one was from the bottom. So we're going to move this plane, edit feature, and we're going to put it up to the bottom there and hit OK. Alright, now we're going to do that again. Sometimes you got to play around with this stuff because you don't want to spend a lot of time doing something and then do it wrong. Okay, so we're going to do that all again. So diameter is 2 inch, revolutions 0.5. Our height is 1. Our angular is triangular, integral, on center, and then right here is 0.125. And let's take a look before we cut it, just to make sure. I'm going to spin it around to see where that thing's at. And I can see that this part's not quite high enough, so I'm going to raise that up a little bit. Okay, that should work. And hit OK. Now that should be close to the same cut that we did on the other one. So the next thing we're going to do is create a mirror. So we'll highlight mirror. We're going to do from features. See if I can get this feature here. There's the feature. And we'll hit mirror plane and see if we can find our mirror plane. And we got the wrong mirror plane, so let's delete that. We got to rotate that a little bit and get this mirror plane. Okay, because you want the opposite direction. And that's okay. So that is, it's a little different, but it's going to end up the same when we're done. Okay. Now what we need to do is create a circular pattern. And let's try to select the features. That's what I always try to do, but it doesn't always work. So that time it worked, and let's see if it works this time. That looks like it worked. So 2 selected, and then we just got to create the axis. Hit OK. Let's take a look. And that worked out good. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and edit that. Now before we edit that, let's look at this other one. And it was 12. So we want to do that same. We want to edit it to 12. So it has the same pattern as the one down below. So 10, 11, 12, hit OK. It'll take a minute. And there you are. There's your nut right there. Now if we turn on the thumb screw, you've got a nut, and yeah, it looks great. Okay, now that you're done with the knurling, what you want to do is inspect the threads. And we're going to go up here to inspect, and we're going to do a section analysis. And we're going to select the plane and cut it right there. Okay. Let's turn that back on. Now what you want to do is zoom in here, and you want to make sure that you have tolerances, because and this looks like it came out pretty good. You have a pretty good tolerance there, and I might have actually, let's see, what I did. Okay, right here, let's edit that feature. So right here, what I did, I actually put a 0.01 offset on this screw. So I basically I went up here and used the sheet metal tool, and I shrunk this screw 0.01 and hit OK. And basically that gave me this tolerance in here so it wouldn't be so tight when we printed it. Because sometimes plastic, and we're going to do this in plastic. Now if you were doing it in metal, it would turn out totally different. So that looks good. So the section analysis, I'm happy with that. And that looks like it's going to work. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to attempt an animation. So let me get this thing, let's see, let's turn off the analysis right here. We'll go ahead and turn that off. Now let's go over to, we're going to try to do an animation of this nut and bolt, this thumb screw. So we're going to go over here to design, down to animation, and right away it gives you this storyboard right here. And we're going to set this thing, the first thing we're going to do is a movement. So we'll set it at, we'll basically set it at one second here, right there. And the first movement is going to be to rotate. So all we'll do, we'll go up here to our rotation key, we'll go like that. Now if you were to rewind this down here, I just hit play, you've got a nice little rotation. Now you can slow that down actually. The way you do that is spread it out a little bit. We'll put it right there. Now if we were to rewind that and play, you can see it's a little slower. Now the next thing we're going to make this just a simple, this is not going to be a long animation tutorial because I'm not that good at it, and there's a lot of better videos than mine to show this, but I will show you what I figured out. So we're going to go ahead and move the nut. We want it to look like it's unscrewing off of here. So I basically went up here to the transform components. I'm not going to do anything here. You can, if you hit this trail line visibility, when you move it, it'll show a little trail, which is good if you're doing multiple parts. But since we're only doing this one part, we're just going to do this one move right here. So I'm going to hold that down and move this out to there. And if I hit OK, and then I go down here, and now it did two things. So it put it in the same timeline. Now I want it to be further out here, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it there. We're gonna rewind it. So if I were to set the playhead up there first, then it would have done that motion in the right timeline. So I'm gonna go ahead and rewind it, hit play, and there's the first two motions. Now the one thing I kind of wanted a little spinning. Now I'm not positive how to do this, but I have figured out one way to do it, and that is to go up here to your XYZ up here and basically create a rotation. So if I click on this and I just pull my mouse out like this, it's going to make both of those rotate. And yeah, let's go ahead. Now it'd be nice if I could just rotate that one, but it doesn't seem to work. So yeah, it's rotating both of them. So we'll go ahead and keep that in there. And you can see it recorded it up here. So if I was to rewind and click out of there and we go ahead and play, you can see it spins out. And it's kind of a nice little touch. So now what we want to do is we want to spin it back together. So we're basically going to go up to move. I'm going to select the nut and I'm just going to drag it straight back in like that. And hit OK. And now if I was to rewind, now it didn't record that because there's two movements there. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, it deleted my previous movement. So that's because I didn't pull this timeline down out. So if I were to go up here, undo, so there's the timeline right there. So we've got, when we hit play, there's the first movement, second movement, and the spinning. So now what we need to do is move the timeline out so that we can put this next motion in. So we'll go ahead and hit move. We'll hit our nut, and then we're just going to pull it back in like we just did. Only this time it's going to be in that right timeline. So if we hit OK, you can see it pops right there. And then we'll go ahead and rewind it and see how that looks. Now I'm sure we lost the spinning when it was coming back. So you can see it stopped spinning right there. And what we want to do, we want to have that spinning. So I'm going to leave this timeline alone right here, because what it's going to do is we're going to record the spinning on that timeline. So I'm going to go up here and I'm basically going to see if I can't create some spinning right there. And stop, and you can see it recorded it up there. So if I go back and then I hit play, I've turned it sideways, spun it back, and spun it forward. And it looked like it went a little fast there, but let's try that again and see what happened there. I mean, it didn't look terrible, but there, it did some kind of speed right there. Let's redo that. Maybe I pulled too fast when I did that. So we're going to go back, we're going to re-record the spin. And here we go. Okay, now let's see what happens there. Rotate, unscrew, and screw back in. Oh, that still did a weird rotate there. Not sure why, so let me know in the comments if you know why that happened. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to basically, it's a short little, we're going to put this at the end of the video. So let's see how it looks. Unscrew, screw back in. That's basically all you want. So we're going to go up here to publish, and I think the biggest you can publish is 1920 by 1080, which is fine. We'll just go ahead and hit OK. OK. And we'll call this animation test. And it's in, you want to save it in MP4. We're going to go ahead and we want to put it to our computer. So let's save to my computer, save, and there it goes. So we'll go ahead and add this to the end of the video, and we'll see how it turns out. And here you can see my first attempt at animation. Okay, once we're done doing the little animation, we're going to send this over to the printer. And I'm going to attempt to send it all as one part and separate it over at the printer. Someone had told me that works. I'm not sure if it does. Usually I separate them, but I think because they're two components, they might be able to separate over there. So we'll go ahead and put thumb screw, and you need to do it as a STL file and export it over there. So I'll see you over at the Bamboo Studio, and we'll see if we can separate these like they say. Okay, here we are over at Bamboo Studio, and there you can see our big nut and bolt. Now, let's see if we can separate parts here. So, add command, add plate, auto orient, arrange objects on selected plates, split to objects, split to parts. Did that, that didn't split them. Let's see. Assemble. Let's try that. Select two-face object and make object assemble together. No, we don't want to do that. Okay, so it doesn't look like I'm able to separate these. I did get a mention in a previous video that there was a way to do it in Bamboo Studio, but it doesn't look like I can do it. So I'm going to go back and send these separate. So we're going to go back here. I'm going to turn off the thumb screw. We're going to go to File, Export, and we'll just name this 21, Export. We'll turn that off, turn the nut on, File, Export. We'll just say 22, Export. And we'll go back over to Fusion 360 or Bamboo Labs, and we'll get back over here to Preview, Prepare. We'll delete that, and we'll go to our downloads, and we'll bring in 21 and 22. Yes, no. That's weird, that assembled it. Okay, let's go back. We'll just bring in one at a time. Oops. There's the nut. It's kind of weird how it assembled it. So there must be a way you can actually disassemble them. So I'm going to put that on the plate. We're going to come up here and slice it. Let's see how long. So it's 1 hour 41 minutes. That's not too bad. And let's see what color we want to do. I think we'll do it. We'll go ahead and do it in red. I got a new roll of red in there. Now we need to put the micro SD card in there, and we'll go ahead and send this to the printer and do a time lapse of the printing of this and see how it turns out. Right away, I realized that I made a mistake right here. So if you look at the bottom of the nut, I should have printed the nut upside down so it didn't have that little vertical place on the bottom. But all in all, it turned out good, and it screwed together nice. And here's a demonstration of it screwing together. I think the biggest thing when doing threads is to make sure to do the section analysis and do a little clearance so it's not too tight. This one's the 0.01 clearance that I put on the threads. Really made it easy for this thing to screw together. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I will see you next time. Later.
There he goes, it's a working man. He's trying to make a living.